Hello, Shoyan here. Today I'm working on insulation and air sealing for an entire house. I start with the insulation work. These days, insulation and airtight construction are essential for any modern building. The insulation method for this house is the same as the one I used in season 4. The only difference is if we're doing airtightness construction. The building method stays the same. I carefully enclose the house with fiberglass, also known as glass wool. First, I insulate the walls with fiberglass. When cutting, I make each piece about 30 millimeters longer than the wall. If you cut it to the exact size, the insulation can sag under its weight, leaving gaps. Even though fiberglass is lightweight, it still has some weight, so cutting it slightly longer prevents sagging. This is crucial to getting it right. With the wall insulation complete, I move on to air sealing the walls. Airtight construction involves snugly applying an airtight membrane to the building. I staple the membrane to the frame, then tape over every staple. This is the air sealing process for this method. Since horizontal furring strips can't be installed directly, I'll install vertical furring strips to support them. This is the second house where I've used this air sealing construction method. The first time was challenging. Sweat made the membrane stick and I struggled to figure out how to install it properly. But now, having done it once, I've got the hang of it. Last time, I had to apply the membrane to a triangular section and between rafters while constantly looking up. Back then, I honestly doubted whether I could manage it. But I pulled through and that experience made this project much easier. With any task, experience and practice make all the difference. These specialized building materials are cleverly designed. The manufacturer, a company called MAG, produces everything from insulation to airtight membranes and tape. They emphasize the importance of using their tape with their membranes for the best results. If cheaper alternative tapes are used, it could lead to problems, and that's on you. While their products are pricey, they ensure everything works seamlessly together, a smart approach. To ensure airtightness, I firmly attach tape where the walls meet the floor. Imagine if I were the wood itself, cut down in the mountains, milled and dried for 3 or 4 years. After that, it's milled again with a jointer and planer and finally used to build a house. The fiberglass surrounds the wood to keep it warm. Then, like wearing a raincoat, it's sealed with a vinyl membrane, unable to breathe. Being used to build a house, sealed with an airtight membrane, never to be exposed to air again, and its life ended. I wonder how the wood feels. If I were that wood, I don't think I could endure it. This is the final step of airtight construction. I only apply urethane foam to the structural plywood where it meets the wall's perimeter. This structural plywood is used for the subfloor and the second floor ceiling. Foam seals the gaps between the plywood and the wood, ensuring the air cannot move through. Since it's not appropriate to use visible tape on the window frames, I use caulk as it's standard for ceiling windows. I apply a generous amount of caulk into the gaps, pushing the gun lever firmly to make sure it fills properly. With this, the air sealing of the walls is complete. Next, I insulate and air seal the attic. Here, the processes of airtight construction and insulation installation are switched compared to the walls. Since I'm above the ceiling, it's like working from the outside. So, I first apply an airtight membrane over the structural plywood, tape the membrane, and then tape around the posts and beams tightly. Once the airtight layer is in place, I add the insulation. For the attic walls, I install fire-resistant boards. This house is in an area called Zone 22, which under the Japanese building code requires fire-resistant wall boards to slow the spread of flames to neighboring houses. The boards must completely cover the wooden structure, but there's an exception for the attic. I can't install the boards around the eave closure to allow for ventilation, but I install them above the beams where possible. Now, I apply insulation to the attic. Since there's a floor, I lay the insulation across it instead of fitting it. The thickness is the same as the walls. I lay 2 layers of 120mm fiberglass. I thought this would be simple, just laying it on the floor. But while the first layer was easy, the second was tricky. The 120mm thick insulation behaves like a sponge, expanding and compressing underfoot. It was harder than I expected to lay it down properly. Finally, I insulate around the access panel by layering the fiberglass twice and escaping through there. This double-layered 120mm fiberglass insulation should make the house very warm, though I'd never want to use it as bedding. Today, a professional is conducting the airtightness test. Because of the windy conditions, the machine made several errors, so they switched to a more sensitive model. I had a bad feeling, but the test went ahead. The first results were good, but no one was entirely satisfied. Suspecting air leaks, we thoroughly checked the house. We added more urethane foam and tape wherever air might be escaping. With 3 or 4 people having worked together on this, I think our efforts will pay off.
それではもう一度測定します。よろしくお願いします。102.41。よし、すごい。7センチも縮まりましたね。7センチ平米ですけど、N 値もさっきより全然良くなってます。間違いなく機密は良くなってると思います。間違いなくコンマ1なので。
Now, the insulation and air sealing for the entire house are complete. The final airtightness test gave excellent results, which is a relief. I can now move on to the interior joinery. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.